The history of American education is distinguished by the policies of integration and self-determination. From the late 17th centuries to the late 18th centuries, the federal government has signed over 370 treaties with different groups of Native Americans in which the government agreed to provide education services to the Native tribes in exchange for their lands. Early reformers employed the policy of assimilation in order to transform the Native Indians into citizens of mainstream society. So this led to the formation of American Indian boarding schools. In these boarding schools, the American Indian students' lives were changed dramatically. They were given new haircuts, uniforms with European-style clothing, even English names. They weren't allowed to speak their own languages. They weren't expected to attend Christian churches and abandon their tribal religions. These efforts to assimilate the Native American children were not successful, and as the government had hoped, and by 1905, they started to open community schools on the reservations so that children can still live at home with their families and attend school. The Indian Education Act of 1972 gave funding to the students not only in public schools but also in tribal schools. The Education Amendment Act of 1978 and further technical amendments provided funds directly to tribal-operated schools, empowered Indian school boards, permitted local hiring of teachers and staff, and established a direct line of authority between the education director and reservation communities. In 1998, President Clinton signed the Executive Order on American Indian and Alaskan Native Education. Its 6 goals included providing reading and math tools to improve their scores, improve science education, and increase high school graduation and post-secondary attendance rates. The most recent act is the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 that required that schools help children meet the criteria of the U.S. Department of Education programs regardless of their racial or class backgrounds and disabilities. Many Native Americans have access to funding for education like grants and scholarships so they can pursue their educational goals, and a lot of great organizations make that possible. Today, most American Indians are given the same opportunities as other minority groups. There are still obstacles that they are faced with, like poverty, parents with only a high school education, alcohol, and drug abuse. But Native Americans statistically excel higher in critical reading, mathematics, and writing sections of exams than blacks and Hispanics. There may also be obstacles for the Native Americans to still overcome, but the progress in education seems to be improving, especially since their parents and tribal leaders are more involved and more in control than they used to be.